But so people, they want to make this change, but then they realize they don't know how to start and they're really overwhelmed. And so we thought we'd talk a little bit about, how to start. What does it look like to start moving your diet toward eating healthier? And if you get our newsletter, this morning I sent out a link to our staples list, what Russ and I keep in the house all of the time. But if you're not on our newsletter, you absolutely should be.
Yes. But
there's a link at the top where you can go and you can put in your email address and it'll send you the staples list, so you can still get it.
And you also have your own copy of the bread recipe as well.
Oh yeah, the bread recipe is on there too,
yes.
So that'll be good. But so that's where I wanted to start, is because I think part of it is being able to know what kind of food can I even have in the house. So that's why we took the time to make a list of our staples, what we keep in the house. Mm-hmm. And with those staples, I can always put together a meal. And sometimes it's like on Saturdays where I cook a big thing of chili or soup or whatever it is I choose to make. And sometimes it's just during the week we just throw something together based on what we have in the house. Right. So I thought that would be helpful. Because the first thing you have to do is kind of say, okay, well, what am I eating currently? How do I eat currently? And that's something when I do one-on-ones with clients is we kind of start there is, what are you currently eating and how do you use food? Is it something are you a grazer? Are you a snacker? Are you a 3 meals a day person? How are you currently eating? Because if you don't make an effort to actually make those tweaks, you're setting yourself up to fail, which is really unfortunate.
And we've gotten to the point now where we're more of we eat when we're hungry, although we still try to eat together. So I guess we kind of, make
I think
adjustments.
I eat meals with you when I'm not necessarily hungry.
Exactly. But we're really eating only 2 main meals a day.
Yeah, breakfast and lunch usually.
And then maybe a little bit of snacking for me. At night, I always eat dried figs at night, so I always do that. But yeah, I mean, so...
You done talking? All right. You didn't know how to end that sentence.
I didn't know how to end it.
So the other thing you can do is pick a meal that is kind of your staple meal, whatever that means for you. For us, if you watch us, it's our breakfast. We eat oatmeal every single day. Although there are occasions where I get bored with it, I have to eat something else. Although I do try to put oatmeal in whatever I eat, because I do find, I've said this before, I'll say it again, my gut functions better. I can talk.
Yes.
My gut functions better if I eat oatmeal. So even when I choose not to do the fruits and the nuts and the seeds and the spices that we do every morning, I do try to get in 1/3 of a cup of oatmeal during the day somehow.
And for me, I just like the fact that I know, first of all, I like eating oatmeal. Obviously,
for 40 years, yeah.
But it's a comfort level in knowing exactly what I'm going to have first meal of the day. There's no guessing. There's no what do I feel like having. And I don't know, I like that level of just knowing.
Yeah, and so that's something you can do is pick a meal, whether it's for you breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever it is. That is something that you just know, okay, that's what it's going to be, and that's easy. And it's interesting because people say, oh, I would get really bored with that. But when I ask them to start tracking what they actually eat, they're surprised how often they eat the same thing over and over and over again. So it's not as your diet probably is not as varied as you think it is. When I start saying, oh, eat oatmeal every day, you probably aren't as varied as you think. So if you choose one thing, and maybe you choose 2, and if that's what works for you, that's fine. And you don't have to, we every day get out all the bags. And somebody actually had commented, said, how do you get out all the bags of seeds and nuts and everything every morning and make your oatmeal? Why don't you just do it once on the weekend and have it all, put together? And we talked about that. And you were kind of like, eh.
I mean, because I just don't know. What are we going to do, line bowls up everywhere? I mean,
yeah.
It's just not, I don't like that idea.
So you can absolutely do that, where you just put it all together, except obviously the fruit, but all your nuts and seeds and spices and whatever can go in there, and then you just cook it and go.
I guess you could get individual containers and just stack them up. I mean, they don't have to be refrigerated. You can just stack them up.
Right, because it's dry.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is an option.
I mean, I wouldn't use plastic just because I wouldn't want to cook it in plastic. I would use glass containers if I were going to do that. But that's one way if you don't have time in the morning to put something as aggressive as this together.
And I tell you, I firmly believe, and I don't know if there's science to back this up, but I know for myself that I think my body likes the fact that it knows what nutrients it's getting every day. So, I mean, the fact that I eat oatmeal every day, I do believe my body thinks that, okay.
Your cells are like, good, we know
what we're getting, we know what to do with it. Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's good. Before we switched to being plant-based, we did, every once in a while we would go out to eat and I would get, bacon and sausage and whatever. And it never made me feel good. It just never did. So I can definitely say that that's been better. Another thing that you can do, and if you guys get our newsletter, it's been a while back, I did a list of 23 snack ideas that are plant-based, and that's on our rnrjourney.com under articles. If you didn't get it, you can go to rnrjourney.com under articles and scroll back. I don't know how far back it is. It's not that far back, but there's a list of 23 snack ideas. I think that really is helpful for people, especially if you're a grazer. If that's the way that you eat, having plant-based snacks is going to be helpful for you. That's just going to be the reality of it. So you can definitely do that. Another option is to start looking for ways that you can incorporate plants into your existing lifestyle, whatever that looks like. We've talked to you before about adding sweet potatoes. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you saw over the weekend I posted a thing that said sweet potatoes and guacamole are the bomb. Yeah. I absolutely recommend that you eat sweet potatoes and guacamole. They are so yummy together. And that's an easy snack, it's an easy meal. It's not uncommon for me to use a sweet potato with some guacamole and maybe a side of a spinach salad or something as a meal. And I find it to be very filling. So it's to move toward being healthy, you don't have to be overwhelmed by it. I think that's the first thing, is that I know a lot of people feel overwhelmed, and then because they feel overwhelmed, they just feel like I can't do this.
And they give up, yeah.
And they give up before they even start. But if you just move there slowly, watching us I think is helpful. We've got a lot of feedback from people who say that we help motivate them because we do it every day, and so that helps them. So that's what I would definitely recommend. What are your thoughts on how to start? I know for us it was a really kind of a slow transition.
As I always say, I think it's easier not to. So it's not like quitting cigarettes to me. It's not like rip off the Band-Aid and go, because it's hard for people that are busy and have a certain comfort level.
A lot of emotional energy.
Yeah, and have a lot of comfort in knowing that they can get something quick somewhere, and it's always going to be bad food if you're getting it quick. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, if somebody else is making it, it's probably not great.
So make baby steps. I mean, one thing you can do is you can say, starting on Mondays, you can start doing meatless Mondays. Mm-hmm. We eat no animal products on Mondays, and that's a start. And then you can take something like that, and whether it's I won't eat animal products for breakfast, or I won't eat animal products for lunch or for dinner. But you can start at a place where you can then expand from there. And I think that is where we have found, or I have found, where most people seem to have their success. And even people that watch us in the morning are talking about they started a certain way.
Yeah.
As we always said, we started about 75%, and we worked our way up to now we're 100%.
And we were originally, before we started this, we were doing mostly the Mediterranean diet was kind of the way we were eating. And so we were moving toward being more plant-based. And what I found for us is we started adding more plant-based meals, and then it became a thing where the animal-based meal was the exception. Mm-hmm. And we would go out once or twice a month and have a little sliders or or nachos or something. And then what ended up happening is that turned into not being enjoyable anymore.
It started not to taste good anymore is what it was, which is very interesting.
It was really strange. The place where we had always gotten nachos, and we enjoyed getting nachos, the last time we had them, we both said, this cheese tastes like plastic. What did they change? And we asked, and they were like, no, we didn't change anything. So obviously our taste buds had changed. So I think that's what you'll find is as you start making little changes to your lifestyle, you'll realize, and if maybe you'll keep a calendar, that's what I did. I kept a calendar because I liked being able to see as I was making progress. And you'll realize eventually that, the animal-based products are the exception. They're not the rule anymore. And they'll become easier to eliminate. Right. So if you get our newsletter, I'll say it again. If you get our newsletter, I did send out our staples list this morning. You should have gotten that about a half hour ago, so you can download it there. If you are not on our newsletter, the link at the top that I put in the description for today will take you to a page where you can put in your email, and it'll allow you to download our staples list so that you can start keeping foods in the house that we do. And hopefully, and if you're a member of the website, which I highly encourage, some of the recipes I use obviously have our staples so that you'll be able to make the things that I make.
And the other thing I was just going back to starting this process is knowledge is king. And that's what happened to us. So the more you learn, the more you understand about what you're putting into your system, the easier it's going to be for you to make choices. Because, if you stick your finger in a light socket, it's going to hurt, and you constantly learn more and more about that type of thing, you're going to stop doing it. In theory.
True statement.
Hopefully. In theory.
Yeah.